Have you ever touched a man in a way that didn't just make his body react, but made his soul recognize you? I'm not talking about the usual rush, the quick friction, or the predictable sigh at the end. I mean the kind of pleasure that leaves him staring at the ceiling afterward, confused and grateful, like you've just unlocked a part of him he didn't know existed.
Most women have never seen that version of a man, and most men have never shown it because our culture has told them that male pleasure is simple, surface level, and always in their control. That's a lie.
There is a place on his body that almost no one talks about, a spot so connected to his deepest instinct that Carl Jung himself might have called it the bridge between his shadow and hisma, the hidden feminine within. And when you touch that place with the right pace, the right energy, and the right intention, you're not just giving him an orgasm, you're giving him an encounter with himself. You won't hear about it in school, and porn will never teach you, because porn thrives on performance, not depth. But here's what Jung taught us about the human psyche. The parts we repress are the parts that control us the most. For men, vulnerability is one of those parts. This spot, his number one pleasure spot, isn't just physically sensitive, it's psychologically forbidden. It's where pleasure meets surrender. And surrender is something his ego has been trained to fear. I'm going to tell you where it is, but not yet. Because if I just blurt it out, you'll miss the point entirely. The point is that pleasure without trust is just sensation. Pleasure with trust becomes transformation. Think about it. How often has a man been allowed to simply receive without having to perform, lead, or control? In Jungian terms, that's his animus giving way to hisma, his conscious self stepping aside so his unconscious can rise. And that, my friend, is rare. Now, here's the part that will change how you see intimacy forever. When you awaken this hidden spot, you are bypassing his usual pathways of arousal. You're rewiring his association with orgasm from something he does to something he allows. And that shift is huge because when a man allows, he feels. And when he feels, he bonds. Not in a forced, manipulative way, but in a way his nervous system can't undo. Imagine this. You're with him, and you've already touched him in the obvious ways. His breath is heavy. His eyes are searching yours. Then, instead of speeding up, you slow down. You let your touch hover just outside where he expects it. You breathe with him. You match his exhale. You let the air thicken with anticipation until his body is begging without words. This is the escalation. Tension building in both his muscles and his mind. And then you pull back. That's the release. You give him space to feel the hunger before you feed it. Jung would say you're dancing with his shadow. You're teasing the part of him that's terrified of losing control while showing him it's safe to let go. The real secret, that safety is the pleasure. Yes, this spot is wired with nerve endings. Yes, it connects directly to the prostate, the male G-spot. But the nerves are only half the story. The other half is that you're touching the place in him that represents his most hidden desire to be seen without having to be strong. And when you do it right, the orgasm he has won't feel like a peak. It will feel like a collapse. Walls dropping, breath shuddering, hands clinging to you, like you're the only anchor in his storm. And here's what makes it unforgettable. He will link that feeling to you. Not to the technique, not to the spot itself, to you. Because in that moment, you weren't just a lover. You were a witness to the part of him no one else has met. But here's the thing. If you rush it, you'll miss it. If you treat it like a trick, he'll feel used. And if you go there without the right emotional grounding, he'll resist. The key isn't in your hands, it's in your energy. And the first step is understanding what this spot truly means to him before you ever touch it. So, let me ask you, if you could give a man an orgasm that felt less like an ending and more like a revelation, would you dare to? Because once I tell you where this spot is and how to awaken it, you might never look at intimacy the same way again. The spot is called the perineum, the stretch of skin between the base of his testicles and his anus. On the surface, it's just anatomy. Beneath that skin lies a network of nerve endings directly connected to his prostate, a gland often referred to as the male G-spot. But here's the part no anatomy textbook tells you. In Jungian psychology, the perineum is like a threshold. It sits at the base of the body, where the root chakra anchors survival, and just above the sacral center, where pleasure, intimacy, and creativity live. It's literally the line between control and surrender. And that's why it's so powerful. Most men skip it. Most women avoid it, and almost no one ever uses it to its full potential. But when you touch it with the right blend of confidence and care, you send signals up his spine that short-circuit his usual control mechanisms. He can't just think his way out of it. His body takes over, his ego, his persona, as Jung would call it, steps aside, and the raw, unfiltered self comes forward. The technique isn't about poking or pressing like you're pushing a button. It's about approaching it like you're learning a language. Start far away. Inner thighs, hip bones, the edges of his lower back. Breathe with him. Let him feel your presence expanding around that area. Your goal is not to rush in, but to awaken the edges of his awareness. This builds what I call psychological arousal. His mind starts anticipating without fully understanding why. When you finally approach the perineum, do it slowly. Use the flat of your fingers, your palm, or even the pads of your thumbs. Apply pressure that's steady but not crushing. Firm enough to say, "I'm here," but gentle enough to let him melt into it. Match your movement to his breath. On every exhale, sink slightly deeper. On every inhale, ease back. This rhythm creates trust because his body can predict your intention, and that predictability tells his nervous system it's safe to open further. Now, here's where it gets transformative. Combine this with stimulation elsewhere, the shaft, the head, his chest, or even just your voice. Jung spoke of the union of opposites, masculine and feminine, control and chaos. When you work the perineum while also feeding him pleasure in a familiar place, you're uniting those opposites. His mind doesn't know whether to lead or follow, so it chooses the only option left: surrender. You'll notice signs, a deepening breath, a shudder through his legs, maybe even his hands gripping the sheets. These are his body's way of saying, "Don't stop." If he twitches, moans, or momentarily freezes, hold steady. That's the wave building. If you rush here, you'll spike his pleasure and lose the deeper release. Think of it like pulling back a bowstring. You want tension to build until it can't hold anymore, then let it go. Some men, when brought to orgasm this way, will experience what's called a full body release. It's not just pelvic contractions, it's a rolling wave from the base of his spine to the crown of his head, sometimes with uncontrollable shaking, sometimes with silent stillness. Jung would call this a nauseinous experience, an encounter with something beyond the ordinary self. And because you were the one who guided him there, you become imprinted in that moment, not as someone who gave him pleasure, but as someone who took him somewhere sacred. Here's the paradox. The more you focus on making him feel safe, the more dangerous you become to his memory. Dangerous because no one else will replicate the combination of skill, energy, and emotional permission you gave him. That's why I warn you. Once you awaken this spot in him, you can't unteach it. He will crave it. He will crave you. But technique alone won't keep him there. You need presence. If you approach it with hesitancy, he'll sense it. If you treat it as purely physical, he'll enjoy it, but forget it. If you enter with curiosity, confidence, and emotional warmth, he'll remember it for the rest of his life. And here's the real kicker. When he orgasms from perineum stimulation, especially when paired with other touch, he's not just releasing sexual tension. He is releasing emotional armor. And in that moment, his unconscious is wide open. That's when the imprint happens. That's when your words, your gaze, your touch become part of the memory he replays in the shower, on the drive to work, in the quiet moments he can't explain. The perineum may be the physical key, but what you're really unlocking is a door in his psyche that almost no one has dared to touch. So the question is, once you have that key in your hand, how will you use it? So, you've taken him there. You've guided him past the point where his body is just chasing sensation into a place where his entire nervous system surrendered to you. He's shaking, maybe speechless, maybe clinging to you like he's afraid you'll disappear. This is the moment most people misunderstand. They think the orgasm is the finish line, but in truth, it's the door. Jung taught that after an encounter with the unconscious, what he called a numinous experience, the integration phase is critical. That's when the insight, or in this case, the connection, sinks into the deeper layers of the self. If you leave now, if you roll away or break eye contact, you've just slammed the door on the most transformative part. Stay. Keep your touch on him. Not as a lover chasing more pleasure, but as a witness holding the space he just entered. Let your hand rest. Whisper something, your breath match his. Whisper something that affirms not just the orgasm, but the man behind it. It could be as simple as, "I love how real you are with me," or "You're safe here." In this state, his defenses are down, oxytocin flooding his system, and his brain is forming a bond, whether he's conscious of it or not. He is linking this release, physical and emotional, to you. And here's where you have the power to make it unforgettable. Jung would call this the transcendent function where opposites reconcile. In him, it's the merging of strength and vulnerability, dominance and surrender, desire and trust. Your role in After Air is to hold both sides without judgment. Stroke his hair without trying to restart the fire. Let the silence be full instead of empty. Because in that quiet, he's not just recovering, he's reprogramming what intimacy means to him. The more you anchor him here, the more this becomes his new standard. And here's the part no one tells you. Once a man knows this standard exists, nothing less will satisfy him. Not because you did some magic trick, but because you showed him himself. That's the addiction. He doesn't just crave you, he craves who he is when he's with you. Now, if you want to take this even deeper, you can use your words to plant what I call emotional anchors. These are phrases that tie his feeling of release to your presence. Not manipulative, not scripted, just intentional. "I love the way you let go with me. You feel incredible when you're yourself." These become the lines his mind replays when he's alone. The invisible threads that pull him back toward you. And here's the beautiful danger. This isn't about owning him, it's about freeing him. Because the woman who can give him freedom while holding his desire is the woman his psyche will not release. In Jungian terms, you've touched both his shadow and hisma, accepted both, and in doing so you've given him a taste of wholeness. Do you understand how rare that is? Most people never feel that in a lifetime, let alone from another human being. That's why this is more than sex. It's why the perineum is more than anatomy. It's the physical doorway to a psychological transformation. A ritual where the man steps out of his armor and into his truth. And if you can guide him there and then hold him there, you don't just become unforgettable. You become part of his inner architecture. He'll think about you not just when he's aroused, but when he's lost, when he's proud, when he's lonely. You'll be the reference point for what it felt like to be fully alive in his body and safe in his soul at the same time. But here's the question you have to ask yourself before you use this. Are you ready for what it means when a man can't forget you? Not because you performed, but because you transformed him. Because once you step into that role, there's no going back. You know what's crazy? The perineum isn't even the deepest pleasure spot a man has. Yes, it's the one that most women don't know about. The one that rewires his idea of sex. The one that leaves him chasing not just your body, but your presence. But there's another place, one that doesn't live on his skin at all. A place you can touch without laying a finger on him. In Jungian terms, it's buried even deeper in the unconscious, hidden behind layers of persona, shadow, and instinct. It's where his core desires and his deepest fears meet. The point where love and lust merge into something almost spiritual. Most women never find it because they're looking in the wrong direction. They think more technique will get them there, or more novelty, or more intensity. But the truth is, this spot isn't unlocked by doing more. It's unlocked by making him feel more. And once you know how to reach it, you can make a man feel a rush that lasts hours after the orgasm is over. The kind of high that lingers in his chest and colors everything he sees. This is the level where sex stops being something he does and becomes something that changes him. But before you can touch that place, you need to understand what closes it, what defenses keep it sealed. You need to know the exact words, the exact timing, and the exact emotional tone that bypass his conscious mind and speak directly to that hidden self. Because when you speak to that part of him, every touch becomes 10 times more powerful. Every look becomes charged and every moment with you becomes a memory he can't escape. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how to find that hidden pleasure spot, not on his body, but in his mind, and how to combine it with the perineum to create a feedback loop of physical and psychological pleasure so strong it imprints on him for life. But I'll warn you now, once you know this, you can't unknow it. And once you use it, you can't undo the effect. So the question is, do you just want to give him pleasure? Or do you want to change the way he experiences every woman after you? Because if you choose the second, you'll need what I'm about to show you next.